Monday Night Showdown. Josh Allen, 19-2 as the top captain option. No surprise there. Derek, 19-2 is insane, Sully.
It's a crazy number.
By the way, I mentioned on the recap show last night, but second half Steelers Seahawks was not great for me, DFS wise.
That's not
I was
great.
winning like $40,000 at halftime. I was first in the con. I was first. I had the Steelers onslaught with no out, and then
I wish I had the self-control not to just constantly look at it and watch me basically start off hot and just lose all of the potential money as the game goes on.
Correct. Like I'd rather just. You're 100% right. Like I would just rather let's see the end of the game. Like fast forward me to 3 minutes left in the game, and I'll deal with the sweat and the pain of losing the sweat. But like and it wasn't like I was first, because I had the two defenses as captains. I had
no. You unlocked the right things.
If that game had ended at halftime, I had the and I was tied with 3 other people. Whatever. Anyway, Allen at 19-2, very expensive at the captain spot. Derrick Henry 17-1. Ryan Tannehill 14-7. Stephon Diggs 14-4. Manny Sanders 12-9. The questionable AJ Brown 11-7. I don't think you can use him. Good Lord, Dawson Knox is a 5-digit. What are we doing? He's in a $10,000, $11,400 captain. Dawson Knox. This guy's the ascension here is insane. Zach Moss at 10-5 rounds out the 5-digit captain options. Julio Jones at 9-9, and then you get to the Jake Fromms of the world at 9,000. What are you thinking when you look at this captain situation?
Really, 2 names come out to me, and again, I'd love to make Josh Allen or Derrick Henry or Ryan Tannehill my captains, but they're just a little too expensive for me to really have a sound roster going forward. The ones that I really like, Zach Moss to me at 10-5 makes
that's what I just clicked. Yeah,
makes a lot of sense. Going to carry the ball a ton, and you're really banking on that second half for him to really just lay it on thick with touches, piling up yards, possibly getting into the end zone. To me, he makes a ton of sense. The other one, kind of a dark horse, Emmanuel Sanders. I just love him tonight. I think he's someone that I don't think will have a really high ownership. I think if someone's going to go with a pass catcher in terms of the Bills, they might go Stephon Diggs, pay up a little bit. They might go down. They might see, if AJ Brown's available, maybe they'll go with him, to me, or Dawson Knox. To me, Emmanuel Sanders is kind of sneaky where I think he'll be involved pretty heavily and could be a nice captain.
Yeah, I like Manny Sanders. All right, so again, the 53.5 high total. I believe that if there's a couple interesting ways to attack this. And I like Zach Moss as a captain for sure.
Mm-hmm.
If you go Zach Moss as a captain, you can fairly easily. Oh man, this is kind of interesting. So I'm trying to look at Isaiah McKenzie because how is he too? I guess he just isn't involved nearly as much as he was last year. You do have kick returns. If you were to house one, that would be a bonus. Man, he's just not seeing any targets at all. He's such a fun player. They use him.
Yeah.
In these interesting spots. If you go Moss, I sort of feel like you need to go Bill's onslaught is the phrase that they like to use in the DFS world. So you could go Zach Moss as your captain, Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs, Gabe Davis, Tyler Bass, and then Derrick Henry.
Don't hate that.
So you can go 5-1, Bill's onslaught, and the Titans just still keep feeding Derrick Henry. Yeah. With the idea being that if this game gets out of hand, the Titans may decide to not use AJ Brown a ton. You could clearly go with Julio Jones or someone else, Ryan Tannehill, if you wanted.
The one name that I think we should pay a little bit of attention to, just because I think that there's a little bit of I feel like there might be some low ownership here. Again, he's relatively cheap, so maybe not. But Jeremy McNichols, the kind of the pass catching back for Tennessee, somebody that could possibly, he's involved in the passing game. And if you're telling me that AJ Brown is not going to be involved, they're going to start utilizing him a little bit more. Ryan Tannehill has already thrown to him. If you're talking about a scenario where Buffalo is going to be, where Tennessee's going to be trailing to Buffalo, you're going to have to start passing the ball a lot. As much as we say Derrick Henry's getting more involved in the passing game, McNichols is someone to pay attention to, I think.
Yeah, I would agree with that. The Derrick Henry captain thing. I was looking at because there was I'm not entirely sure if it occurred, but there was a captain situation with the Seahawks. As I mentioned, it was Alex Collins as the captain, and then on five Steelers was at one point winning the Millie Maker, I believe. That's a pretty. If you think about it, you go Steelers onslaught, right? And then the captain is your running back for the team that's getting slaughtered.
Yeah.
Doesn't make any sense in the world. The only places you would want to do that are Tennessee and Seattle, really, because those coaches are willing to feed that running back the rock. So I'm trying to figure out how you could go Henry. The problem is if you go Henry and then try and jam Buffalo guys in, you have to give up on either Diggs or Manny Sanders, and you essentially have to go with two. I don't know that you can get it in there without because if you go Henry, Allen, Diggs, Moss, I guess you could do Henry, Allen, Sanders, Moss, Tyler Bass, and there's just nobody really left in there. McKenzie again at 200, but he's just not seeing any targets. Going Henry as a captain is just a tough spot to do it. You can't really get what you want.
If you're going to try to go, I think that route, if you're talking about Bills onslaught, it's, just a dominating display from Buffalo. Maybe you throw in the defense at the captain spot, because then I just cooked this one up. You have Bills defense as your captain, Josh Allen, Gabe Davis, Diggs, Moss, and Henry. You're kind of still having that same, you still have that same attack. You're just spreading it around a little bit differently. Again, you're really banking on Buffalo to shut things down, but like we've been saying, they have done that to a degree this season. I mean, again, number one in DVOA, you could see that as a possible one. Again, Derrick Henry, as you were saying, they're still going to they're still going to run him, even if they're in, have to throw it situations to get us back in this game. They're still going to get their fair share of Derrick Henry carries. They're going to put the ball in his hands. So to me, that one, if you're trying to go the four, or the four Bills, one Tennessee Titan, and Henry would obviously be that guy to me, or 5-1.
The onslaught, the 5-1.
That to me would make the most sense.
Yeah, the other one you could do too. That's a great point. Bills defense is a good call there. You could also go with Tyler Bass as because I know one of the things about the defense is in a game where, as good as the Bills defense has been, in a game where maybe it's 21-0 Bills at halftime, just hypothetically, the Titans are going to move the ball. The Bills are going to pull back. We saw that with the Steelers, and the Steelers nearly lost the game in overtime, and they were only up 14-0. But it's tough for a defense to hold up. You could see garbage time stats ruin you as a defense. So Tyler Bass would work as well. You could go Bass as captain, Allen, Davis, Diggs, Moss. That is just an onslaught of Buffalo scoring, and then Derrick Henry in that spot for the Titans. You could also, if you wanted to differentiate yourself, plug Ryan Tannehill as the flex in there, and potentially go. You have 3,700 left over even with that onslaught lineup, and plug in Manny Sanders instead of Moss. Gosh, Lee, man, if you go Bass or Bills defense as your captain, you can pretty much do whatever you want. That's the only way to get the studs and the stars in this game. The two guys who I think will probably go severely obviously under-owned, or the three guys, I guess, as a captain. I think Diggs might fly under the radar as a captain a little bit, right?
Maybe? I like it. Because he hasn't had that really breakout performance, right? Like, he hasn't been.
No.
I remember listening to the Fantasy Football Today guys, and they were like, "Hey, if you can buy low on Stephon Diggs, do it." Like, we're in that kind of conversation with him right now.
Yeah, he had his best game of the year 2 weeks ago at Houston. 11 targets, 7 catches, 114 yards. He only has 1 touchdown on the season. He's only cracked 100 yards once this year. He's really
hovered around 60-ish yards receiving.
My wife is sending me motivational messages. Thank you, honey. Sure. Yeah, man, Diggs might be due for It's a primetime game. He didn't get to eat against the Chiefs. The Bills lost to the Titans last year, by the way. The Titans have no pass defense. It might be a Diggs evening where they just come out slinging the ball. If you go Diggs at captain, I think you probably need Josh Allen.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas Scott Hansen likes to say Josh Allen. You then, in theory, have Zach Moss pounding the rock down low, or I mean, pounding the rock down low. What am I talking about? You have Zach Moss running the football a ton at the end of the game, and you can add Bills defense if you wanted to go Tannehill, or you could go Derrick Henry in that spot and get Tyler Bass, and then come back with like a Josh Reynolds or a Michael Pruitt, depending on what happens with AJ Brown. So Diggs is definitely a viable captain option here.
Yeah.
If we wanted to do that. And then, of course, I mean, there's going to be people who play AJ Brown as captain. You got to have some huevos to do it. But if he even if he's limited and he catches 2 touchdowns,
even if we get the the pregame report, he's going to gut through. He's going to be on a limited snap count. You're talking when you hear a limited snap count again. You got to have some cojones to do it, but that is low ownership from the captain spot right there. That is what that says.
I had a sort of a galaxy brain thing a few minutes ago where I was thinking, is it you could do a Buffalo onslaught and include Mitchell Trubisky. It's galaxy brain. I realize
that is galaxy brain.
But the idea that is somebody who was badly. Trubisky plays the whole fourth quarter.
that is someone who was burned last night on Sunday Night Football. that is the ramblings of somebody who did not have a good Sunday Night Football.
That's right. That is what that is. But I mean, like we've seen this before. Where you're not wrong. We've seen this before where it's like, like Marcus Mariota came in. I'm not saying like it's an injury. I'm saying it's like Josh Allen. They pull him in the third quarter, and Trubisky's coming in. Someone will play Trubisky as a captain at some point tonight, and could win because he's sick. He's what's he for a captain? Maybe he's too expensive for captain. $9,000. That's pretty pricey for a flyer. I will have Sully a $10, $15, whatever it is, millionaire maker lineup with Trubisky as a captain. I can promise you that.
I love it. All
right, this is probably apologies. Poor producer Chris is like, what is happening at this juncture of this? This is a weird game. Should be a fun game.
Excited.
And before we go, Sully, we got to do our patented near Millie Maker miss. What if the game goes the way that it's? What if the game goes the opposite way that we think it's going to
lineup? That's all we have to call it. The Costanza lineup.
The Costanza lineup. Yeah, that's a great. That's What's our? I need to write down our Costanza lineup because it usually flirts with being pretty good.
It's unbelievable. So
what do you think?
So it has to It would have to be the AJ Brown captain. Is that what we? That's probably kind of what we've been saying.
What about Julio captain?
I literally just as I was about to click it, I was got to do that.
This is really the only portion of the DFS program that anybody needs to listen to. It's like
for some reason, this is where it comes from. But let's do Julio as the captain because again, maybe.
What we're doing here, if you're still listening, is that we are trying to say what is the outcome of this game that is completely and wildly unpredictable. That, like we said from the outset, it's like, I just can't take the Titans. Well, you know what? The Titans play football too, man. Like Mark Godfrey once said, you got to guard us too, pal. If the Titans were to come out and jump all over the Bills and somehow have this great offensive game plan, or even just play good defense, what is the bizarre, what is the bizarre scenario? Julio is captain, we think?
So I have an interesting one. I just made this one up. So Julio is the captain, and AJ Brown is also in my lineup as well. I got both Titans receivers, and you're just banking on. And this is fading Derrick Henry. This is fading the running game for Tennessee. Sure. You have the two receivers as the focal point of a Tennessee offense that gets out in front of the Bills, and then it forces Josh Allen to start throwing the football even more. Yep. You have Gabe Davis, Stephon Diggs, and Dawson Knox. That all fits.
So you have Julio, AJ Brown.
Yep. Josh Allen, Gabe Davis, Diggs, Knox.
Now, the one downside of that is if I mean, I guess in this case, it's just a shootout.
Yeah.
And if it's a shootout like this, maybe Derrick Henry's not heavily involved somehow. Is that a possible scenario where Derrick Henry's
Not out of the realm of possibility.
Well, and it's also, oh my God, look at his freaking last 4 games. I mean, how do you get away from this guy?
It's insane.
His per 16 game average over the last 4 games is 2,328 rushing yards. Like if he's averaging 145 and a half rushing yards per game on 31 carries over the last 4 weeks. They're just giving him the ball. My Lord. So what if we did that? What if we do Julio as the captain?
Okay.
Add Henry in there. Add Tannehill. Add Diggs. Getting a little crazy with the Ferkser, maybe?
I don't hate that.
Oh, look at that. Chris has got it up. Julio, Tannehill, Diggs, Derrick Henry. Trying to find if I want to get Ferkser's kind of expensive. Manny Sanders, can you fit? You did Manny Sanders and then slap in a $200 Michael or $600 Michael Pruitt.
You could give me you could throw in Ferkser and give me Devin Singletary. Again, maybe it's a little bit more of a passing down game. Maybe he's used a little bit more as a receiver. So you could throw in Ferkser.
You're right. In the effed up game script, you almost need to have Singletary in there because in theory the Bills are not winning, and they're bringing out their passing down guy in Singletary, who won't be highly owned or highly rostered. So Julio, Tannehill, Henry. I don't think you can get away with the 5-1 Tennessee Buffalo. That just doesn't seem feasible.
No, you can fit Diggs and Singletary in there.
Oh, all right. Let's so let's get rid of Sanders and Pruitt, Chris, and let's do Singletary. And then that leaves us. Oh, then you can go Tyler Bass.
Yeah. You can open yourself up to Ferkser. You can open yourself up to
plenty of cash left.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I don't even know if that lineup makes sense, but it's probably going to win $1 million.
I was going to say.
Yeah.
Going all right. It's gonna come close.
All right. Let's call the dogs off in this podcast. Sorry, this is not my best. Yeah, whatever. Sully carried the day as he does sometimes on this show. Let's hit some props. Let's win $1 million with this weird ass Julio Jones lineup, and talk to you on Thursday, buddy.